What's up, everybody? I'm back. Sorry, I know it's been a while since the last time we did one of these. But Eric's story will continue from where we left off. We worked with the Nosferatu D'Angelo and helped him out with his current case to try and forge a working relationship with him, and it seems we've gained his cooperation. And we left off at our first rest. Let's see what happens this next night. You notice something strange by the front door of your haven. A letter's been slipped under the door in a cream-colored, old-fashioned envelope. There's no name on it, but you know it's meant for you. Opening the letter, it's clear it's been sent by someone incredibly old-fashioned, rich, or a fan of classic stationery. No normal person sends letters like this. The note is short and terse, written in elegant, delicate handwriting. You're cordially invited to a rendezvous at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. I'll be waiting to make your acquaintance tomorrow night. Look for me closer to God. There is no other information. It looks like you have a mysterious invitation for the following night. Alright, let's see. So we can go and talk to Agathon from this guy who is the one who invited us to the cathedral. Hope. Continue building bonds with D'Angelo. Or we go and speak to Jezebel's childer. Let's see. I think beginning a new relationship might be wise. I've played through all of these already, but let's try all of the... This was the only one I hadn't played yet. Let's do Hope, I think. She's a good one. It's a quiet, moody internet cafe. Half of its space serves as a comfy coffee bar these days, but behind a glass wall, it still has a space dedicated to rows of PCs. From the street, you can notice tired adults in casual clothes typing away absent-mindedly, and some bored kids wasting the late evening hours on colorful online games. If Sophie's intel is to be believed, this is where Hope has set up her haven. One of the waiters is standing outside the building, gazing at the sky with a smartphone in one hand and a vape pen in the other. You approach the man and tell him, I'm looking for Hope. I was supposed to meet Hope here. I'm here on official business. Let's go with this. If I told you I was supposed to meet Hope here, what would you say to me? I'd probably tell you I'm surprised. People are usually far more discreet about seeing her. The man slowly takes a drag from his e-cig, sizing you up and down in silence. After a long, awkward moment, he raises his voice again. Come, right this way. He heads back into the cafe, and you follow his lead. When you make your way through the space with computers, no one averts their gaze from the spreadsheets, emails, Facebook profiles, or games of Fortnite. It's a common sight, one you wouldn't have paid much attention to a few weeks ago, but now it seems so unnervingly quaint. Would they still be spending their time like this if they were immortal? The waiter unlocks an unassuming door at the end of the room and lets you inside. You two swiftly make your way through a labyrinth of sterile gray corridors, taking confusing twists and turns. Feels like you're traveling into a different world, crossing one invisible portal after another. Eventually, you reach your destination. Your guide motions you to enter a dark room with a lone source of pale light, a computer screen in the distance, beckoning you to come closer. As you do, you hear the door shutting behind your back and a short chuckle echoing behind it. Is this the place? Nothing else to do but sit on a chair in front of the computer. The monitor displays a modern chat application. A cursor is blinking in the user nickname entry field in the middle of the screen, obviously expecting you to input your handle. After a brief consideration, you type in your name, a random string of characters, something goofy. Probably not the name, but at the same time, I'm also really curious to see what would happen. Let's do it. Eric, better play it straight and prove you have nothing to hide as a gesture of goodwill. After a few seconds, the chat window opens, and messages start appearing on the screen in quick succession. Just to be clear, forgot about this part. I guess they're not happy that he's in here. Eric, identify yourself within 2 minutes or get banned. The chat goes silent, everyone seemingly waiting for you to say something before proceeding. This must be a close-knit group. Better say something before they kick you out. Just logged in here. Who are you guys? Who the fuck are you? This was meant to be a safe channel. Oh man, we could use a vamp ability here. Sure, let's use a vamp ability. You've had enough of these trash-talking randoms. Time to teach them some respect. Your blood fires up. Ancient power starts coursing through your veins. Fingers tapping the keyboard buttons on their own. You people better stay quiet if you know what's good for you. You have no idea who you're messing with. You will obey me. Oh gosh. The chat goes silent once again, and then it explodes. Guess your powers don't work online. Go figure. You know your cheeks would turn blood red right now if they still could. Got the info. Nice. Oh. Sentence death for a shitty name their mom gave to them. Tough shit. You're getting your throat slit right here, right now. A split second after you read the message, you feel someone's arms tightening around your neck. The violent return to reality catches you off guard. A jolt of panic rushes through your brain, paralyzing you momentarily. You've come to the wrong chat room, motherfucker. A ridiculous whisper rings out next to your ear, and the grip under your head gets even tighter. You start struggling, but even with your newfound supernatural strength, you're having trouble breaking out. This isn't a normal human you're dealing with. Last words. Oh. Probably don't tell her chat room sucks. Sophie sent me here. Langley. The hand holding your chin shifts its position slightly. Don't struggle, or I will break your windpipe, or my phone, which would end even worse for you. Sounds of a camera shutter and light flashing. Did they just take some selfies with you? Alright, that's enough fun. I'm letting you go. We can have a talk. Don't do anything stupid, Mr. Intruder. Pretty please. The mysterious assailant loosens their grip on you and gently pushes you away. You quickly turn to take a good look at them. Let me just finish this. It's a pale blonde woman in her 20s, giving you slightly judgmental looks while rapidly tapping away at her phone screen. First, you notice her outrageous outfit, seemingly thrown together from random thrift store finds. Then you take note of her tattoos, a sprawling tapestry of odd patterns and designs covering every visible part of her body. At first glance, it all seems aimless, but it has a consistent sense of style upon closer inspection. Her eyes focus on you for a second. Gave you a scare, huh? Sorry, that's what you get for entering a lady's haven without her permission. And she's back to her phone. With her relatively small build, it's hard to believe you had trouble overpowering her physically. But then again, nothing is what it seems when it comes to the undead, and even compared to the vampires you've met so far, she comes off as an eccentric, curious presence. She shoots you another glance, noticing you're still cautious of her. Calm yourself, man. I won't pull anything like this anymore. It was just feels stupid saying it out loud, a vibe check. Vibe check. Vibe check. Yeah, I got a glimpse of your vibe on the internet and in a dangerous situation. I'd say I've got a pretty good idea about who you really are. I'm Hope, by the way. If you're here, you've probably heard of me, so I went ahead and skipped the pleasantries. But come to think of it, I might have skipped too many of those. Yeah, she definitely fits the description you were given by Sophie. I still can't believe you got so mad online. You actually tried to use your powers on people talking trash about you from who knows where? Jesus. But you know, I kind of respect that dedication. It's amusing. Anyway, don't worry about the chat. It was all a game to us. No hard feelings, okay? I'll introduce you properly later. On the monitor, the chat continues normally. Your visit is like yesterday's news, no longer relevant to anything. But, look, if we're going to talk about you, you should have something to say too. What are you doing here? About time, she asked. Note to self, she really loves the sound of her own voice. Sophie Langley sent me, I'm building a coterie. I'd probably tell her we're building a coterie. I'm looking for people to join my coterie. Coterie? Been there, done that, not interested. Unless... She takes a closer look at you. Her eyes go wide. Wait. Shit. Are you the new Langley plaything? Word seems to be getting around fast. Of course you are. It was obvious the second Langley got her hands on a new servant, she'd start building a network. Your emissions tell me that could really come in handy when... Langley, that's a risky game. This kind of ambition attracts too much attention. Piss off. But then again, fucking Kara. She seems to be having a spirited argument with herself, only parts of it audible. Is it just you? Or do her facial expressions and body language change a bit between one sentence and the other? Before you make certain it's not just your eyes playing tricks on you, she focuses half of her attention back on you. The other half, of course, is still obsessed with her smartphone. Listen, I'm not saying I'm not interested in a cooperation, but before I make a decision, I need to make sure you sort of understand me and that I sort of understand you. And since I was planning to put on a show before you came in here, I propose a little game. Hope absent-mindedly spins her phone in her hand, considering how to put her thoughts into words. Then, she approaches a switch on the wall and flicks it. Neon lights flare up, illuminating the room. You take a look around. The room is certainly unique. It looks like a butcher's room, repurposed to be a living space. The modern computer in front of you starkly contrasts the ominous industrial walls. At the back, there's an overwrought bed covered in velvet, with meat hooks hanging above it. On top of the bed sheets, you notice what seem to be pieces of elaborate S&M equipment, and a camera. Wait a minute. You want my help? Moderate my cam show. Cam show? Your eyebrows twitch involuntarily. This is definitely not the kind of request you expected to hear tonight. She notices your confusion. Take it or leave it, buddy. You just became a kindred, but you want to become my partner in crime? Show me you can handle yourself while watching my back in my everyday environment. She's serious. The show starts in 10 minutes. If you think yourself better than this, better walk out the door right now. I won't hold a grudge. I've got better things to do. As if to prove it, she looks at something displayed on her phone and cracks a brief grin. Another reply typed down with absurd speed. Tap, 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 tap. 9 minutes. It's now or never. Show moderate. Risk of violating the Masquerade? High. Content warnings? Oh yes. So, do you take the job? Why the hell not? If I have to, I'm definitely out. Why the hell not? Hope brightens up, and her smile looks surprisingly sincere. Excellent. I promise you might find this interesting in more ways than one. Alright, give me a second. She spends a minute setting up the computer you used before, then urges you to sit down. The explanation of the moderator's functionalities is simple. It boils down to ignoring anyone who doesn't disrupt the chat, banning anyone who does, and kicking anyone who's causing minor trouble. 5 minutes later, she's already online, sitting on her bed in a provocative pose. It's a sex show, isn't it? Her voice, previously hushed, rings out with full force. How are you doing tonight, hopefuls? You peek at the chat. I'll kick that guy. And kicked. Get a grip, sexy bozo. Thank you. Tonight's show is quite special. Please welcome our new moderator, Eric, who has already kicked one of our regulars for no discernible reason. Bear with him, you guys. He's new to this. Oops. Oh, no. Not the best start. At least the community here seems to be a bit more welcoming this time. Looks like this place has an established hazing ritual. Or maybe they in Hope came up with one specifically for you. Who knows? You decide to stay silent. Eventually, people stop rifling on you and focus entirely on the star of the show. Alright, let's start this one with a bang, shall we? So this is where the strip show starts? You raise your head, curious about what kind of performance she's going for. First, she opens her mouth and reveals her retractable fangs in front of the camera. Right off the bat, the online audience is treated to a sight of her wholly human set of teeth turning into a monster's maw. The image is both revolting and fascinating. She raises her left wrist for everyone to see, then bites. The fangs immediately turn her arm into a horrifying, gory mess. It's unclear if she used them to slash or bite, but one thing is for sure, no ordinary human could cause such damage. If an ordinary human suffered such a wound, you'd expect a geyser of blood to appear too, but it doesn't. Hope's technically a corpse, so it's impossible. She flashes a monstrous smile and starts smearing Vitae all over her hand to maximize the impact of the violent image. Then, she starts drinking it up. She makes it a point to make the sight as gruesome as possible, looking like a hyena feasting on a corpse. The contrast of her behavior with her look of an Instagram model is stunning. Once she's done, she reveals her wrist to the camera for the last time. She starts making theatrical gestures with her right hand as the wound begins to mend. Shortly after, the wound is gone. It's like a magician's trick. Her left hand looks like nothing bad ever happened to it. Here's an appetizer. First blood to kick off the show. While you're wondering what the hell is going on, Hope catches a glimpse of your bewildered face and turns into your direction. How's that burn opening? This is not Shikso, he's shooting stuff. Are you hurt? This isn't a sex show? Sex? What, were you counting on me getting naked in front of you or something? Oh, honey, we've just met each other. If you expected a strip show, yeah, sorry to disappoint. This is more like a live stream digital art. The erotic subtext is there, of course. You peek at the chat, they're going wild. But eroticism is not the key here. It's vampirism. It's a new frontier, a living art installation. In the early 90s, the Japanese artists kept producing these videotapes of beautiful women committing gory harakiri. Those are an inspiration. She bares her fangs again in a devious grin. But I've no interest in auto-destruction or turning myself into a victim. This is a celebration of a body I love, not self-inflicted punishment. The audience came here to marvel at a beautiful vampire and her awe-inspiring powers. Mending wounds is just one of these powers. The people watching can pay to see more. Oh, and don't worry. The only things the audience can see in here are the things I allow them to. We can talk freely. Just remember to moderate the chat, will you? High risk of violating the Masquerade. What a joke. She's blatantly breaching it in front of anonymous viewers. Still speechless, you turn your attention to the screen. You give the guy a kick for spamming the chat. A few seconds later, Hope groans loudly. What the heck did you kick Masochist for? It's normal for people to show their excitement like this from time to time. Maybe he'll interrupt it as his Maybe he'll interpret it as his queen hurting him and be grateful, but stop messing up. Oh well. A special message appears on the chat log, claiming someone has successfully sponsored the first goal of the show. Hope smiles and picks up a bag of blood from underneath the bed. It must have been retrieved from a blood bank. She showcases the label to the camera for everyone to see. Drink up. Hope pours all the contents of the bag into her throat. You have no doubt it's real blood, but wonder why the viewers would be so satisfied with something that's so easy to fake. Don't worry, it pays well enough. You don't even bother to tell her this is not what you're thinking about. Safe to assume she knows. So, what do you know about the kindred and the internet? Have they told you anything? While she's waiting for someone to sponsor her next vampiric feat, she decides to start a conversation. Is this the right time? Is there a vampire internet? Maybe we'll ask that. Is there a vampire internet? If you find something that looks like vampire internet, stay away. See, some of us used to experiment with our own secure networks. We tried to build our own information hubs, social networks, everything. She's still working the phone in one hand while looking for something under the bed with the other. On how many things can she concentrate at one time exactly? Then one day, the NSA got in. Turns out elders never really got the hang of proper security practices, or the sigils they used to smear on their screens didn't exactly work as advertised. Then, of course, all the other three-lettered intelligence agencies in the world got the intel, and a lot of them decided bloodsuckers were the perfect new enemies for our post-9/11 times. The Second Inquisition came into being. Ever heard of it? A lot of our kind died just because they were too present online. Right now, the remains of our old networks serve as government honeypots, kept alive to attract fledglings and hunt them down. You post a certain keyword on Twitter or Facebook, you get tagged for investigation. You fit certain patterns, you get tagged for investigation. So there's a certain thrill in becoming an online presence without attracting attention from the authorities. She stretches on the bed. I hope you're still monitoring the chat. Of course not, you're not as good at dividing your attention as she is. You correct your mistake and check the recent messages. This kind of nickname only suggests trouble. You get rid of them permanently. Good job. She's keeping close tabs on you. Anyway, yeah. When the Nosferatu admitted to Camarilla their network got compromised, the elders went batshit insane. Internet communications became strictly forbidden. There were executions. A lot of people who use social media to secretly contact their mortal families and lovers got offed. That goes without saying. But if you weren't careful, even the most innocent web usage could result in being punished with final death. Thanks to user Dick Steele, the next goal has just gotten successfully funded. Vanishing act. She raises her hand, 3 fingers up, 2 fingers up, 1 finger up. The countdown ends and she immediately disappears from the screen, like a ghost. You can still see her on the bed, but the live feed indicates there's nobody there. When you deeply focus on the digital image, you swear you can make out some unusual glitching where her silhouette should be, but it could very well just be just placebo. You ready for this? 3, 2, 1. A flash of the camera. The instant she reappears on the screen, she takes a selfie, sticking her tongue out in a provocative manner. The chat room explodes and cheers again. She is their vampire queen. You briefly wonder about her being glued to the screen. Is this the fantasy everyone is here for? A girl showing off cheap magic tricks while lazily browsing her social media? You realize you are way out of your depth here. Meanwhile, Hope decides to continue her lecture. Those were some wild times, especially in New York. While most of them have no clue as to our real nature, a lot of clandestine organizations have classified us as national threats. And since this is where the towers fell, the agencies are very much present around here, looking for easy PR victories. The last SI raid here was just a few years ago, and it was a big one. Stirred up the hornet's nest something fierce. But although it's 2019, New York City is ruled by someone who got embraced before World War fucking II, and the cam as a whole got really spooked and swore off the internet. Of course, they're not dumb and understand that you can't really coexist with modern kind without the internet. It's a gray zone right now, like piracy. Technically frowned upon, but let the one without sin cast the first stone. The SI is a real threat, no joke. But in many senses, the darker place is right under the candle. You take another look at the screen. A familiar nickname pops up. Give the guy a kick for spamming the chat. The message is deleted so fast, Hope might not have even noticed. A duty carried out well. You're surprised to feel an inkling of pride. Oh yeah, fun fact about being a vampire, we can sweat and pee if we just exert ourselves really hard. Some of us can even orgasm. We can even cry, but only tears of blood. It's something I always dreamed of doing when I was 14. So romantic, and it drives them crazy. As proof of her words, a scarlet tear starts running down her face. The chat goes wild. This seems to be exactly the kind of thing they've been waiting for. Ban this guy. And banned. Just to be clear, you realize what we're doing here is a blatant breach of the Masquerade, right? I honestly expected you to leave or inform somebody by now, but you haven't, have you? You try to focus on the chat. A familiar nickname is displayed on the screen. Looks like Mr. Masochist needs a longer break. After you ban him, you hear Hope's voice. Good job handling that guy. Great. If nothing else works out, seems like you fit this job at the very least. In any case, the last goal has just been funded. It's time for the great finale. This is what you've all been waiting for, right? Her voice has changed. She gets closer to the camera, letting her face fill the frame of the live feed. Her mesmerizing eyes are focused purely on the viewers. You wanted blood? Come out into the streets, claw out your neighbors' throats, slash their veins, and drink up. Yes, Queen. Yes, Queen. Hope's presence becomes absolutely horrifying, and it influences the chat in some incomprehensible way. Everyone starts typing like they are possessed. Liberate yourselves from the shackles of ordinary morality. Make them scream. Feel the warmth of their entrails. What the hell is she doing to those people? What have you gotten yourself into? Transcend your bodies. Release the message of hope into the world. She jerks violently for a second, and then falls down on the bed like a marionette that has just had its strings severed. She exhales loudly a few times, and laughs. When she does, the room goes dark again. Alright, that's enough. Instead of continuing, she does something with her phone. The stream ends, and the chat instantly becomes dead quiet. Let me take over. The atmosphere in the room is completely changed. She's already put herself together and stood up. Now she's walking toward you. What the fuck just happened? Yes, the show's over. Everyone relax and go home. Aw, and I was almost ready to come, bros. Hostage, I swear on my father's grave, one day I will find you and kick the ever-living shit out of you. After every line she delivers, she changes her voice, the way she puts her lips together, and even the way she moves. You've caught glimpses of her acting this way, but only now have you started to figure it out. What the hell just happened? I'm immortal, I'm bored, I'm separated from most vampires in the city by a generational chasm, and I'm so goddamn lonely. The internet used to be my only friend. Years ago, I started researching tulpas, collective unconsciousness, all the mumbo-jumbo at the intersection of psychology and spirituality, and I decided to experiment. The show was fake. A few years later, I was an Instagram fashionista, a successful erotic model, a vital part of pop culture commentariat, a viral shit poster, a cryptocurrency expert. All of my internet selves started signal boosting each other, paving the way for new ones. I became a one-woman empire, surrounded by legions of psycho fans. The chat was fake. Some may think of it as a dissociative identity disorder, but that's bullshit. Everyone has online alter egos they buried. I just resurrected them, gave birth to new ones, and let them crossbreed. Her constant tapping on the phone, even during the show. Somehow she's capable of impersonating an entire chat room. I don't even have a self that could dissociate or be mentally ill. I'm a host, a living database. I live because I find it fun to be an information conduit, to process trends and support the ones I deem worthy. There was no Masquerade violation. She was showing off her skills all along. She put you into a world of pure fiction, the same way she was testing you when she attacked you from the back. Damn, she's good at this. Of course, you can just ignore what I'm saying and decide I'm just another deranged Malkavian. But hey, annihilation of the self is the only way to survive in the 21st century. If there ever was an era that demanded images of beautiful people transcending beyond humanity and inspiring others to do the same, it's this one. Although for now, because of Masquerade, my audience is quite limited. Speaking of, you want to be the star of my next movie? Oh goodness. Let's play along. Sure, why not? I have a hunch you're just saying that. Still, hey, in a way, this too is transcending beyond self. But yeah, your test is over. Now the question is, do I want to work with you? She puts away her phone for the first time since you've met her and gives you a good, hard look. Guess I can give it a shot, yeah. You're not that dumb, you're not that boring, and you're kind of cute. Don't worry, no more modding jobs. Mods get attached, and that's always bad news. She grabs your arm and starts leading you out of her room. I've put you through enough shit. Next time, I'll let you in on a little job I'm doing. We'll hit the streets and you'll see why Sophie told you to contact me. She leads you through a labyrinth of gray corridors. It's a different route than the one you made your way through in. This city is so much more than what the elites consider real. Stick with me and I'll guide you to places Camarilla elders couldn't reach in 100 years. She leads you out of the building, into the back alleys. Even if someone else rules the streets, we will rule the information highways. This is the power of hope. She lets out a theatrical laugh and disappears. You don't even notice when she leaves you alone, but you assume everything went as well as it could. A new ally, the power of hope. As you walk off into the night, Everything around you feels a little less tangible than it did a few hours ago. Alright, we've got time for one more. Let's do D'Angelo. You make your way through the now familiar rusty maze of the grain terminal and up the stairs to D'Angelo's office. This time, however, you find the room firmly locked. There's a note pinned to the door. You rip it off and scan the crooked lettering. There's been another one. At the scene now. Come to Bedsley, corner of Pulaski and Garvey, ASAP. Looks like D'Angelo could use your help. Better get going. As you approach the address, D'Angelo gave... As you approach the address D'Angelo gave you, a squad car passes you by, sirens blaring. Following it, you make a turn from Delcab Avenue onto Pulaski Street. Sure enough, the street is awash with red light, and the 4 or so police cars parked on the nearest corner, next to an ambulance, confirm that you're in the right place. You move closer to what appears to be New York's finest convention, looking around in the hopes of spotting a familiar, if not altogether pleasant, face. No such luck. True to his Nosferatu lineage, D'Angelo is nowhere to be seen. You stop on the sidewalk across the street, trying not to draw attention to yourself. All of a sudden, one of the cops standing by the entrance of the building looks straight at you. He does a double take, and you instinctively look away. Bad move, you think to yourself, as you notice him making his way toward you. Probably calmly wait for him to approach. No need to make a scene. Not allowing panic to set in, you stand your ground, doing your best ordinary citizen impression. The cop waddles across the street toward you, his sense of authority putting that extra spring in his step. You try to remain calm, even as he puts his hand on his holster. Shit. You can't help but mouth the word. This is about to get messy. Suddenly he stops, as if instinctively realizing that he was just inches away from a grisly demise. He waves at you dismissively, and yells in a thick Brooklyn accent. Hey! This here's an active crime scene. Be on your way. Relieved, but trying not to show it, you put on your grumpy New Yorker face and start to walk away. As you make your way past a dark alleyway, someone grabs you by the arm and pulls you into the shadows. The smell of cigars and cheap cologne don't give him away. If the smell of cigars and cheap cologne don't give him away, the gravelly voice sure does. Nice save. I mean, dumb to show your face around here in the first place, but still. Come on, I'm parked around the corner. Before you know it, you're sitting in the passenger seat of a busted old sedan parked half a block away, giving you a nice view of the police gathering. This doesn't seem like a good place to feed. Why don't I talk to them? I might convince them to let us in. He gives you a look as if you just let rip a massive fart. Right. Look, kid, it's not that I don't trust you, but how about we give that raw animal magnetism of yours a dry run, huh? Pretend I'm one of the cops guarding the entrance. Convince me to let you in. Pose as a detective, pose as a tenant, or I'll just use my powers. That might work. Evening, officers. I live here. Is there a problem? Yeah, this here's an active crime scene. Be on your way. But, hey, it's your butt against mine. Get lost. Yeah, maybe you're right. Of course I am. So, what else you got? Yeah, but you do your shadowy, skulky thingy. Maybe you can find some way to let me in from the inside? Shadowy, skulky thing? Jesus, kid. Childish phrasing aside, it's as good an approach as any, I guess. Without another word, he gets out of the car and heads for a nearby back alley. You watch in silence as he disappears into the shadows. A minute passes, then another one, and another. You begin to worry. What if there were more cops inside? What if your moldy partner has gotten himself in trouble? Suddenly, a shadowy silhouette appears in one of the windows on the second floor. Looks like he made it after all. At least, you hope it's him. The shadow waves at you and points to the corner of the building, opposite the two cops. You get out of the car and quietly make your way towards the alley. Sure enough, you find that a fire escape ladder has been conveniently dropped for you. Good work, D, you mumble to yourself as you climb to the second floor. Finding the crime scene proves easy enough. You just follow the yellow police tape, and before you know it, you're standing in the middle of what used to be someone's living room. The place has been completely trashed. Knocked over furniture, shattered glass, the works. Looking around, you notice a sign scribbled on a nearby wall. It reads, "His gift, our fate." You're no expert in typography, but the crooked letters look similar to the ones you saw back in Red Hook. Sure enough, there's very little in terms of blood, save for the occasional stain that's bound to end up on the carpet once you toss someone through a glass coffee table. D'Angelo leans against the doorway. He seems lost in his thoughts, sucking on his cigar compulsively and mumbling to himself. You lean over a bit, trying not to make it obvious that you're listening in. You manage to catch the last few lines of his monologue. The night's been kind to them so far, but the questions kept piling on, and now they found themselves amidst the wreckage of another life. It was up to them to sit through the... excuse me. It was up to them to sift through the debris and come with a neat little pile of answers. Suddenly, he tenses up, as if sensing your eyes upon him. Feel free to chip in, kid. Anything catch your eye? Another piece of graffiti, no blood, same as before. No blood, same as before. At least none spilled. So, what does that tell us? Maybe the kinder after someone cleaned this place up. And this was a feeding that the killer's kindred might be the one we're after. Might doesn't make it right. Let's not make assumptions until we see the body. Still, the pattern is consistent. God damn it, I hate where this is going. Which is why it looks like you're right. Go with which is. Which is me being right. About thin blood involvement, I mean. Anyway, looks like we're not getting any more out of this place. No way around it. We gotta see the body. Is that really necessary? Are you protecting thin bloods? Sure, might as well be prudent. And for a penny and for a pound, might as well be prudent. My thoughts exactly. Ducksborn have it bad as it is. If I'm gonna accuse one of them of breaching the Masquerade, I want solid evidence, and I mean rock fucking solid. Luckily for us, I might know someone who could get us an audience with our dearly departed. To your surprise, he pulls out a cell phone, a busted old clamshell. He flips it open and spends a good minute browsing through the contacts, muttering to himself. Finally, he makes a call. Hey, you know who this is. Yeah, that favor you owe me? Time to deliver. Listen, I know you got a fresh one. The murder in Bed-Stuy. I need to take a look. Yes, now. Yeah, you better. With that, he hangs up and gives you his trademark wry smile. Aren't cell phones forbidden? Are we good? Wait, aren't cell phones an issue for the Camarilla? Only if you tell them. Look, kid, I don't use it willy-nilly, alright? It's for special occasions. You don't always have time to throw fucking rocks at windows. Can you live with that, or should I worry about being sent to the principal's office? Promises. I'm not gonna rat on you. Yeah, he's not gonna rat on him. Relax, D. I'm not gonna rat on you. He shoots you a smile. For some reason, it seems less crooked than usual. Good to know, kid. Anyway, looks like my guy's gonna come through. Next stop, Kings County. Kings County, the bleeding heart of Brooklyn. It's beating as hard as ever, with ambulance after ambulance bringing in sick and wounded New Yorkers to be pumped through the tight arteries of the healthcare system. It's a dangerous place for a kindred to show their face, incessantly crowded and full of people who specialize in noticing all sorts of physical afflictions, especially the sort that make up the very essence of a vampire's existence. For instance, death. Thankfully, your business here tonight keeps you away from the hectic human hive of the ER. Instead, you follow D'Angelo to a relatively quiet part of the underground parking lot that's closest to your current point of interest, the Kings County morgue. Having found yourself a convenient and subtly unlit spot near the hospital wall, you wait patiently for D'Angelo's contact to appear. Every now and then, you glance over at the undead gumshoe, as if to make sure his moldy mug isn't showing any signs of worry. It isn't. Or, at least, he's very good at hiding it. Finally, after 30 minutes or so, a lone figure emerges from a side entrance. As the human-shaped shadow walks by, you're quick to recognize him as the EMT you saw back at the murder site. Clearly nervous, the 20-something-year-old redhead can't seem to help but look back and make sure no one is following him. Finally, he stops and lights up a cigarette. Without even looking in your direction, he takes a puff and exclaims, seemingly to no one in particular, "Room 112, you got 20 minutes. D'Angelo speaks without looking at you. That's our cue. You follow the fanged detective through the same door the EMT walked out of. Luckily, this wing of the hospital seems unusually empty. Still, the confidence with which D'Angelo makes his way through the white and green corridors makes it clear. He's been here before. Finally, he stops in front of one of the doors, room 112. That's your stop. The room is small, with only one oversized freezer by the wall and a single slab mounted in its center. Sure enough, the body of a middle-aged man is splayed out on its steel surface. Even for a dead man, he seems unnaturally pale. Extreme blood loss will do that to you. Try as you might, you can't help but look at the man's face. His features twisted in abject horror. This was not a peaceful death. Looking closely, you notice 2 small puncture wounds on the victim's neck. If ever there was a clearer sign of a vampire attack, you've yet to see it. Looking over at D'Angelo, you notice his lips moving in a familiar fashion. He's narrating again. Before he can utter an intelligible word, you cut in with a remark. Sucked dry, just like the last one, or those teeth marks. Look at his face. Jesus. The look on his face. It's like nightmare fuel. No kidding. Which means he was fully aware all the way through. He knew he was dying. Which, combined with the blood loss and the teeth marks on his neck, confirms our hypothesis. We have serial thin blood on our hands. Fuck. As if on cue, the door swings open. A tired-looking man with a stethoscope around his neck walks in. With his eyes fixed on his clipboard, he doesn't appear to notice you. Yet. know if we should eat him. Ah, fuck. This does not seem like a good feeding opportunity. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I hide behind the freezer. Quickly, quietly, you hop behind the oversized freezer, hoping D'Angelo will follow suit. Pressed against the wall, you tense up, hoping for the best but expecting the worst. The room, however, remains silent. You peer out from behind the freezer to assess the situation. The doctor calmly looks over the victim, jots something down on his clipboard, and walks out. If you could breathe a sigh of relief, you would. So hard. D'Angelo materializes from the shadows lingering against the wall across from you. He gives you a slight nod. Nice save, kid. My first instinct was to jump him. But hey, whatever works. Now come on, let's get out of here. Time to pay our dear Primogen another visit. Robert Larson's home looks about the same as last time. No added security, no angry dogs prowling the yard. It appears that the thin-blood Primogen would rather risk another visit from his old pal D'Angelo and to arouse suspicion of his family and neighbors. Which is good, considering that's what he's about to get. Sure enough, the light in Larson's study is on, and you even catch a glimpse of the man himself shuffling around the room. You look over to D'Angelo, wondering how you're going to get Larson's attention this time. Without a single word, D'Angelo walks over to a nearby street lamp and leans against it, making sure he's visible to any and all who happen to look. Looks like time for subtlety is over. It only takes a couple minutes for Larson to take notice. You see him lean against the window and storm out of the room. In mere seconds, he is out in front and in D'Angelo's face. Listen to me, you moldy fuck. I've had just about enough of your shit. You want to pester me? Fine, but leave my family out of it. For a moment, D'Angelo just stands there, motionless, allowing Larson to get his frustrations out. Suddenly, he grabs the thin blood by the collar, lifts him off the ground, and smashes his back against the lamppost. Are you finished? All right. Now you listen to me, and listen good. You think I'm enjoying this? You think I like being jerked around? You think I got nothing better to do than hang around this little puppet theater you made for yourself? Now, either you give me a lead I can follow, or I'll start remembering things you'd rather forget. For the first time since you met him, Larson looks speechless, his eyes wide with fear. He can only mutter under his breath. You wouldn't dare. Try me. Cue awkward silence. You stand there, shifting your eyes from one vampire to the other. I guess it's time to either press the advantage or play the good cop. Come on, Larson, spit it out. I have a feeling he'll appreciate it if we tell him to spit it out, so let's go with that. Come on, Larson, just give us something. It's been a rough night. See, Robert, my assistant here is tired of your shit, too. So, what's it gonna be? If you want my help, put me the fuck down. With his feet back on the ground, Larson straightens his collar in a faint attempt at preserving some shred of dignity. There's a place in Manhattan, Lower East Side, one of the few places in the city where my people can find shelter. Yeah, I know it. If you go there right now, you might find what you're looking for. D'Angelo stares at him for a moment, just long enough to make it uncomfortable. We'd better. Finally, D'Angelo loosens his grip. You both watch Larson limp back to his house, looking back over his shoulder, like he's going to tell the teacher on you. You look at your partner, meaning to ask what that whole thing you'd rather forget deal was. As if sensing your curiosity, D'Angelo cuts in with a preemptive mutter. Come on, we got what we came for. As you reach the address Larson gave you, you find yourself standing in front of what looks like an old garage. On the outside, the place looks as uninteresting as it gets. You'd think it abandoned, if not for the few, barely working lights illuminating its shabby facade. Once you're inside, however, if ever there was a place worthy of being called a wretched hive of scum and villainy, this is probably it. The room is littered with drunks and crackheads, human and thin blood alike, their minds lost in their cruel little worlds, their bodies splayed out across the floor. D'Angelo leans over and whispers in your ear, "I'll cover the back door. You stay near the front. Let's look around and see what we can find." Before you can ask what exactly you're supposed to be looking for, D'Angelo disappears into the shadows. Around quietly. Probably a good idea to just look around. Doing your best to blend in with the crowd, which is fairly difficult considering your upright position, you slowly make your way across the large room. Not really knowing what you're looking for, you focus on the details, a knowing smirk, a hateful stare, anything that looks even the slightest bit suspicious. After a dozen or so empty stares, you're almost ready to give up, when suddenly, something catches your eye. A young, skinny woman, hunched in the corner of the room. She gives you a bewildered look, a 1,000-yard stare that tells you beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's her. As you walk toward her, D'Angelo emerges from the shadows right next to you. Nice catch. He kneels down beside her. You can tell he's trying to sound as comforting as possible, but with his gravelly timbre, it's not really working out. Hey, it's okay. We're not here to hurt you. We just want to talk. No, don't talk too loud. Too loud. She seems halfway out of it. It's like the lights are on, but whoever's inside is stumbling around after one hell of a bender. Alright. You like quiet? Got it. Oh. Alright. You like quiet. Got it. Can you tell me your name? Sana. That's what he called me. Suddenly you hear the door swing open behind you. Even though the night is fairly warm, a cold chill runs down your spine. You look towards the entrance. There's a woman standing there, and something about her just screams kindred. Even though she seems comically overdressed for the situation, somehow you don't feel like cracking a smile. Whoever she is, you can tell she means business. She starts making her way to the back of the room, not making any effort to sidestep any of the junkies and drunks. They all know well enough to get out of her way. Acting out of bravery or sheer stupidity, you walk up to her. She looks at you as if you were something she just scraped off her shoe. You smile nervously, without even knowing it. And might you be? Probably go with hold it. As soon as you open your mouth, her hand shoots out, grabbing you by the throat. The woman looks at you, tilting her head as if examining... Whoops, sorry guys. The woman looks at you, tilting her head as if examining a curious piece of it. Yeah, wow. The woman looks at you, tilting her head as if examining a curious species of insect. Suddenly, her eyes shift as she notices something behind you. Her face turns from disgusted curiosity to sheer annoyance. You. Hey, Val. It's my assistant you got there. Do you mind? She rolls her eyes. You feel the grip on your neck loosen, and you awkwardly fall to your feet. She makes her way toward D'Angelo, pushing you aside like a rag doll. Where is she? You're gonna have to be a bit more specific, darling. Don't play coy, Jenny. The manslayer. I know she's here. A blood hunt has begun. By order of the prince herself, the girl is to meet her final death. Hold your horses, honey. I'm conducting an investigation under the auspices of the sheriff. That counts for something, too. Look, sweetie, I'm not here for some clit-measuring contest. You want this to get ugly? Be my guest. Otherwise, I suggest you step aside and let me do my job. By all means. He steps aside in a comically exaggerated fashion. You look at the corner where you last saw Sana, but find no trace of the girl. Well, I'll be. I could swear she was just here. Valerie looks at D'Angelo. She smiles softly, but you can tell she's trying very hard not to rip his head off. You'll regret this. Story of my life. Without another word, she turns on her heel and storms out. D'Angelo waves his hand in your general direction. Come on, kid. Let's get out of this shithole. As you emerge from said shithole, you feel the cool night breeze caress your face. It's soothing, and almost makes you forget how shitty the last few hours have been. Almost. Okay, kid. I know you've got questions, but it's getting early and I don't feel like having a Q&A session right now. For now, you get one question. Make it count. What do we do now? Do you know where the girl went? Valerie, huh? So who the hell is she? She's a scourge, kid. Part enforcer, part assassin, all around pain in the ass. If she finds that girl before we do, we'll never find out why she did what she did. And before you ask, yes, we've run into each other in the past. No, I don't feel like talking about it. Alright, kid. I don't know about you, but I'm turning in. I'll figure some stuff out and keep looking for our girl. Feel free to swing by the office in a night or two. And with that, he stumbles off into the distance, not even bothering to keep to the shadows. Can't say you blame him. It really has been a rough night. Alright, I usually normally go for another 20 minutes, but it's been a long day for me, so I think we're going to call it here for tonight. But thank you all, as usual, for watching, and we will see you all next time. Have a good one.